I'm gonna unplug the fridge.
Don't do that.
Go your own way, stones and shadows white, willows whisper of darkness deep and wide. In the forest, there is no place to hide. Strange paths, tonight I fear that I will not survive the dying of the light.
This is The Dying of the Light, a season of the Starfall Collective. The Starfall Collective is a collaborative storytelling group using the Dungeons & Dragons game system as a vehicle for creating rich and compelling stories in a fictional world we've been developing together for a while. You can find out more about the collective, as well as the stories we're telling, at thestarfallcollective.com. We're back with a new episode. Let's find out who's in it. I'm Sir Robert, a father and entrepreneur, and the host of this season's story. With me tonight are some friends playing some of the characters in this drama. Please say your name, something about yourself if you like, and a brief description of the character you're playing. And we'll focus on the looming threat. In particular, you will remember that last time you returned from the hole through a teleportation circle. There we go. Through a teleportation circle, and were able to make your way back to the Black City. You found that while you were gone, the Iron Bell had found out about the city. Under Garriot's leadership, the city was able to hold off the Iron Bell. They have warned you, and you already know this, that the Iron Bell loves to escalate because they don't respond well to being defeated or rumors of being defeated. So why don't we...
So all we should do is tell people that we've beat them twice now.
That's right.
They'll hate that.
They'll hate it.
Crawl up into a little ball and die.
Probably. They're mildly allergic, psychoallergenic. So we will, let's start with you guys. I want to hear, who you are for the audience and what your character is thinking about the current situation. Why don't we start with Dwight?
Hey, I play Belvari, who is a young druid human and is like 50% worried about the Iron Bell coming and 50% worried about the Lich reappearing at any moment.
All right. How about you, Matt?
My name is Matthew Talamini. I'm a writer and web developer based in Providence, Rhode Island. I play the shirtless wizard Diamondback, who has a involvement with forces from the beyond. And it's really nothing for Belvari to be worried about at all. It's actually a very good thing.
You need to say
And
that
I'm becoming a
voice as of one who has just rolled 2 1s in a row. It's a really good thing.
Well,
Yeah,
but also Belvari will see that I'm starting to convince a bunch of the sort of citizens of our little town. I've got some acolytes now. Among them, our friend Inkatink. I'm really starting a movement.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Belvari is precisely the sort of person to be swayed by popular opinion. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's gonna love
So
that.
if you get 50%, I'm just wow. 51% really.
So what does Diamondback think about the situation?
Well, here's Diamondback's current draft strategy. Best weapon against the Iron Bell is heat metal. I think Belvari understands this as well, but we were almost able to kill one of their big bosses, like a general or a duke or whatever, mostly with just heat metal. So I think the way to go versus the Iron Bell is to fortify our positions, give everybody a bunch of heat metal components, if we can find them, as many as we can find, and just anybody wearing armor or holding a metal sword, just make it 1,000 degrees, and
So
then
typical.
murder them in other ways.
Yeah.
And then that's the tactic. Here's the strategy. They sent a pretty big army last time. They're going to send an even bigger army this time. We defeat this one, and then we wait for the even bigger army. And when the biggest army comes, we leave. We leave. We go around them. We go up the headwaters, and we invade their fortress and destroy them utterly. We're going to have to get the dragon to help us with this. So that will be a charisma roll Diamondback shouldn't make. And there are other help. There's other help that maybe Diamondback could help with, bring along our way.
And you have a town with, excuse me, a population of approximately 350 right now, of which ballpark half-ish are men. 125, maybe 150 are men who are able to fight. And then, obviously there's women and children. The children, I would assume, should not fight. The women,
Although they could probably heat metal on someone and then run and hide.
possibly, that's right.
That is precisely what they will be doing.
Typically in this situation, because of how difficult the environment is, you have a high ratio of men to women who are doing the fighting. Although there are plenty who are willing and courageous, but many of them would prefer to keep the home safe and also prepare supplies, going out and doing things like harvesting components or whatever to send to you. In a situation like Diamondback just described, like Matt just described the Diamondback, it may not make sense for them to stay, obviously, but it would be hard to take children. So you have to figure something out for that. How about you, Josh? I was going to say Inkatink, and I was like, nope, that's not it.
Inkatink works. My name is Josh, and I play Inkatink the Kinku, who has many voices, but not one. Inkatink is wearing those skirts and running around, gathering up the children, organizing Die Kinderblitzen, where we equip the children with heat metal and chain lightning components and whatnot. I think Inkatink very much wants to find ways to get the people out there in the city. He wants to have a conversation with everybody about where most of the killing is going to happen.
Right.
Is it?
Hold on one sec, Josh. Matt, is Josh's audio clipping for you?
Say something, Josh. Sorry.
This is me saying something continuously for more than a few seconds at a time so that we can discern whether or not I'm clipping.
Nope. I'm not hearing him
Okay.
clipping, but I am hearing slight echoes from both of us.
Both of yours did a little bit, so I'm going to turn your volume down and see if that fixes it, so that in case it's the noise cancellation on my side.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, Inkatink's very concerned with where the fighting's going to happen. Do we want to try to engage them outside the city, from the city walls? Do we want to lure them into the city and use mold earth to create, narrow places where we can attack them from above? We've talked about possibly getting folks on top of the buildings and fighting from the tops of the buildings. Inkatink wants to use the home turf advantage. So he's thinking about things like making the ground coming in towards the city difficult terrain to slow them down, so we've got more time to cast at them from a distance, things like that. But he's open. He's ready to do his part.
So tactically, Pat's not here to talk about Toll, but tactically, here's the situation you have found. Garriott, first of all, had implored you to stay and help defend the city. He did not feel up to it because of the super large attack surface around the city. But he did manage to equip everybody. They only sent 8. I think it was 8. No, they sent 16 people last time. 16 groups. Sorry, 69 in total.
32 this time.
Yeah, they typically go by doubling. So, sorry, one
How
second.
many got away?
They don't know. It was too busy.
How many dead bodies did they have?
Diamondback, do you remember how many dead bodies that they recovered?
Yeah, I have 7 Iron Bell corpses in my basement.
There were others that were burned or something not sufficiently recognizable besides knowing that they were there. So basically, typically what will happen is, just to give you a rundown, you would know this approximately, all of you would know this. The way it works is the smallest unit of an Iron Bell is called a crew. They call it an Iron Bell crew. So Yat, crewmaster. It's him and 2 underlings. When there's a big enough disturbance that a couple of crews need to work together, they would do that in what's called a pack. Griffith is a pack leader. Yeah. Vorak, you'll remember, was a pack leader also at the during the False Night.
And a pack is 3 crews?
Yeah, it's 2 or 3 crews. So, a couple of different people. So these aren't super formal. They don't necessarily have the exact number of people. They're kind of just bandity sort of thugs, but they're organized and they're the government. What'd you say? Yeah, that's right. When you have a couple of crews joined together, you're getting around to a dozen people. It could be maybe more than that. That's usually called a band, an iron band or a band.
Is how many crews?
2 or 3. So you're looking at around 10 to 20 people. Again, it's a loose number. It's how many Iron Bell are in the area that need to kind of form together. So Yat, in a situation like where that would happen, Yat becomes a nobody. And the leader of a band, an iron band, is called a riveter. Spolash was a riveter.
I was just going to ask.
From there, things get bigger. They will tend to be around a dozen people is a band of people. It could be 15. And then you start getting into the 25 to 30, 50. And then you've heard rumors of much more than that, like more than 100 Iron Bell. Those are usually when there's some kind of attempt at insurrection, according to the illicit lore you've heard. But
Yeah.
they just burn everything.
Belvari would assume that they're not just going to double if any of them got away, because those people are going to go back and say, hey, there is a city that is bigger than anything we've seen.
Yeah, right.
Probably
As big as a lake.
Yeah, probably not gonna get just the outlying bandits. They're probably gonna get some, if there are such things as regular Iron Bell
Right.
coming from the headwaters.
And the other thing you know, that's right. And the other thing you know is you have lived your whole lives in Cinderon, who the way the Iron Bell work in Cinderon is when they get into large enough groups, the leaders of those groups have some kind of magic command of beasts. So you might have, 40 or 30 or 40 Iron Bell who are in command of one or two small hordes, which would be 10-ish boars or, a mix of bears and, moose or whatever just they happen to have captured and are controlling. Here in Garatone, you have found out in the past short while that the Iron Bell works basically the same, but instead of hordes of beasts, they have hordes of undead. Where a horde is the name that they use for like a group of 10 or 20 or however big that is, right? They just say a horde of beasts or a pack of beasts or something. You have learned that was the first time you knew of anything about undead meaningfully besides Diamondback's like kind of cult. But you have also learned of Wira, and from what Yoshka and Neno went to Wira when they were away from y'all for a long time. And they came back, and some of the refugees that they brought to the Black City are from Wira. Wira does not use beasts and does not use undead. Instead, the domain of Wira, the main threat they marauders and bandits. They go largely unchecked by anybody. And so there are gangs, like there are hordes of human and orc slaves that are just gladiator, mercenary, magically controlled and just are basically the same as an undead horde or a beast horde. You don't know what's going on in the other three. Those are the three you have any knowledge of. Of the Coven's divisions of this forest.
Gotcha. Well, I think Bovari would probably spend a lot of time trying to scout out and find these people before they get here to see if he can see what they're bringing so they don't surprise us. And be
Makes sense
willing
to me.
to bring along some people who were into that if they wanted to, you know.
So what I'll let you do is, to the best of your knowledge, you've some days, you don't know exactly how far the headwaters are, although maybe they don't have to go all the way to the headwaters to find a band of maybe Spolash is near. Who knows? Except for Spolash is in Cinderon, not Garatone.
Yeah.
But who knows how far they have to go? So you might have anywhere from a day to a couple of weeks, depending on how far the headwaters are and depending on what's going on. No way to know without
Yeah, I think unless y'all need me here for some reason, I'd like go out a day towards the headwaters and start kind of patrolling back and forth.
If you go that way, that far, one day in that direction, if you look at the map I gave you, you'd be in the neighborhood of Saracon.
Oh yeah. Gotcha.
Just to say. And so
And what can you give me? I don't really remember Saracon, but
that was the city made of antler and bone.
right. Gotcha.
And it's a tall, sort of like weirdly cylindrical or inside of a torus kind of shape.
Yeah.
And basically, it's safe from the forest. Who knows what? It's been abandoned now for weeks by the people of Saracon. Iron Bell aren't gonna, flinch much at an abandoned town. There are plenty of those if people
Yeah.
all got slaved or anything. But it's up to you if you want to use that as a base. Depending on how long you want to be gone, you could go even a day further from there.
And Dwight, do you already have a potion of find familiar or components for find familiar so that you can have some sort of bird familiar to help you scan the skies?
I do not.
But
But
in the canopy.
what I do have is a pair of sending stones, so I would leave one of those here with someone who wants to receive communication, and I'd probably on someone from Saracon if they wanted to go.
Sure. You, Lambrel, was one of the ones you went with previously. He's the one who brought y'all here the first time, along with Teko, whose daughter Adina was in bad shape. Lambrel's the most likely to be willing to guide you. He knows the terrain. Teko knows it the best of all, but now there's no more Baisugen that they're worried about. There's just the normal apparitions and things of the forest.
Yeah, I mean, part of it would be guiding, but the other part would be just trying to get.
Spread
We
out.
don't want to miss them coming through.
Let me grab my dice.
Mr. Dice Grabber Man. Never should have gave up that copyright.
That's right. It's my new novel coming out.
Mr. Dice Man, I never should have given up that cup.
Mr. Dice Grabber Man.
Never should have given up that copyright.
Oh, let's see.
So, Robert, can we talk about my acolytes real quick?
We can. Give me 1 second. I'm going to roll something. Okay, I'm ready.
Diamondback has, you said, 9 acolytes, and I was supposed to replace because they're like necromantic casters. I needed to go through and replace the spells that they have with necromantic spells, and also they use components. They don't actually have spell casting the way I do.
That's right.
Is what we said. So acolytes,
Did I say cantrips in first level? Is that what I said?
yeah, because acolytes have first
That's what
level
I
and
thought.
cantrips. So I narrowed it down by going cleric necromancy spells. The cleric necromancy spells are inflict wounds is a first level spell, spare the dying is a cantrip, and toll the dead is a cantrip. So they've got I'm imagining they've got 20 each of components for spare the dying and toll the dead, and then they've got 3 because they each have only 3 spell slots. They've got 3 casts of inflict wounds.
Yep. That sounds fair.
And then 9 hit points, 2d8 hit points.
That sounds good to me. As far as they're concerned, Diamondback also, just to give you a sense of their perspective on this, they see you as something like in a positive sense for them, they see you as something like the Elephine of this place. Remember Elephine of the Orvan?
Yeah, the priest leader guy.
Yeah, you're the one in charge, the big kahuna, and something like Inkatink as your main lieutenant.
That fits Diamondback's ideas precisely.
This is wild with Inkatink understanding of the power structure. But continue. I was not.
They also understand that there is a sort of lay government of the town as a whole that takes care of civic things like plumbing, like water flow and defenses, run probably, they're guessing, by Yoshka and Toll and maybe Belvari, but he's a little more outside the city wall a lot of the time. Talid, I guess. Talid, Yoshka, and Toll. But they see them as probably something like friends of yours that you appointed to take care of some of the kind of people stuff.
Yeah, sure.
But they know, and it's kind of secret to them, what's really going on in the city is the Snake Clan.
Snake Clan.
So just telling you that's their worldview in this.
It's a very noisy clan.
Okay. So let me roll. Let me say. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do. You don't know how long until the Iron Bell are going to return. What I will let you do is make an investigation check with a pretty high. A history check with a pretty high DC to make your best guess about how many days you likely have.
Can my friend Inkatink help me with that check?
If you all collaborate together, you can have help.
Because Diamondback has +6 on history.
Sounds like that's only going to work if we operate together as equals or peers. Would be another word.
Somebody's the helper.
Helper and helpee relationship.
You're
I'll
definitely
help
the helper,
you this time.
Inkatink.
I'll help you this time.
I will add guidance,
All right.
which is really the main role.
Guidance
From
is
above, I'm providing wisdom.
it's a D4.
It is
Yeah.
a D4.
All right, here goes. All right, so 16 plus 6 plus 4. So that's a 24
Okay.
for Diamondback's history.
So what y'all have put together, what I'm gonna
Wait, 16 plus 6 plus 4 is 26. Sorry, arithmetic.
yeah, no problem. 16 plus 6 plus 4. Roll me, if you will, 2d4 somebody.
Just anybody, 2d4?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Snake Eyes.
Okay.
That's a 1 and a 1. 2. Total of 2.
Well, you were able to come to this conclusion with a 26 confidence in only 2 hours of investigating, talking to witnesses.
I thought it was going to be the number of days.
No.
You rolled the best.
Yeah, that was the best you could have rolled for that instead of wasting a full 8-hour day. Not wasting, but using to investigate. Right. So yeah, you talk with the people who are there in the battle. You talk with the people of Mirado.
Sorry, operates on like
25-hour day.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. And Diamondback, they're basically, everybody's going to basically recognize that you have good knowledge of the history and the workings of things, especially with your own account of how awesome the Snake Clan was at going out as mercenaries and evading the Iron Bell. So what I'm going to have you do is
mercenary assassins. Remember,
as has been told fully trustworthily. What I'm going to have you do, Diamondback, is roll a. I'll let you pick either I'll let you pick a persuade. I'll let you do a persuasion check for how much confidence you instill when you convey that you think that you most likely have about 6 days.
Okay. can I confide in a friend with higher charisma to be my 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 spokesperson and bring this message to the people?
No, I'll let them help you, but they're recognizing your historical knowledge.
Sounds
Fair.
like
And-
you. Sounds like you want to help somebody else. Is what it
I
sounds
want to
like
help
me.
somebody else, but I guess that's not going to work.
The people you're talking to here are the basically the leader of each of the boroughs, and Toll and Inkatink and Belvari.
Okay. Is this
So there's a
something
group
I'm
of
going to
about a
get?
dozen people here.
Sorry?
So there's a group of a dozen or 12 or 15 people here.
If you want, you can use the ever-smoking bottle to make yourself lit. You can speak from a heavily obscured cloud.
The incredible Burt Wonderstone.
No, it's definitely, I mean, unfortunately, it's definitely shirtless. There's definitely continual flame flickering across the shoulders. There are definitely like snake tattoos and like flexing and trying to look very grimdark when delivering this message.
You could use the rope of climbing and talk to them from 60 feet up in the air.
All right, here
So really,
goes.
Is this
Persuasion
with help?
check. Is this with help? Will somebody help me?
I'll give
Yes.
you guidance.
Inkatink will help me, and
And Inkatink will give you guidance.
Inkatink can
I
give guidance
think-
as well.
Yes. Well, I have the components for it. I'll cast it on you.
Can I have double guidance? Is that even possible?
I
No,
don't
but
think
you could
so.
have
I
guidance.
thought Belvari was already gone.
No, y'all are still investigating, so he can know how long you should go.
Gotcha.
But I can only have one guidance, and Belvaris doesn't
That's right.
use up anything, right? It's
So
like a cantrip.
Belvari should
I
use
will
it.
say this: if you'd like to both do guidance, I'll let you roll one for Inkatink's a D4 and a D4 for Belvari's, and they fight each other. The
How do
difference
they-
between them is the blessing you get.
No, don't do that.
Okay,
Just make it
wait, I didn't roll that one well. It's a D4, and I just sort of dropped it, and it didn't actually roll. So I'm going to roll it again. For real. Okay. For the D20s, I rolled a 20. And
Wow.
for the D4, I rolled a 3. So it's 23 because I have plus 0.
Okay. Reroll your D20, not as a reroll, but to see the weight of
Oh.
20,
natural 20.
13.
Okay, so it's a good success. People are generally persuaded that 6 days is a really reasonable number, and probably the skeptics are thinking you could be off by as much as 2 days in either direction. The optimists are saying it could be up to 8, and the pessimists are saying it could be as little as 4. But that's basically the range you have, and people are persuaded.
Good.
Belvari is flabbergasted at how well Diamondback did in convincing people. Because
Even more certain he was lying about the lich,
yes,
based on the difference of
it's as if we added another roll and you got a 1 a third time now.
Ones,
Just
20s,
wait.
they're all the same in Belvari's mind.
You'll see. Great, awesome. So 6 days. Oh, it seems like Sir Robert's frozen.
Uh-oh, I think the rapture's happening, and Matthew, you and I are not quite as tight with the Lord as we thought we were. Because Sir Robert's definitely frozen in a beatific ascension pose.
He's definitely looking up at a source of light. For sure.
So we need to talk about what we're going to start drawing with Toll's inks. Hang on one second.
Right.
Spears, simple weapons,
I
simple
thought we were
slings,
gonna,
simple crossbows, ranged weapons, hot oil, a cauldron of hot oil, rocks for throwing down.
We need to figure out if he can make. Dwight says that there was a. Hello, dear audience. Our friend Dwight, who plays Belvari, says that there has been a power fluctuation at the house in North Carolina where they are. And, I shouldn't have doxed them. They're in North Carolina.
All angry letters can be sent to the customer service inbox of Duke Power.
North Carolina. Yeah,
Of
Duke
North
Power.
to the state of North Carolina.
They're having to restart their modem and router. So they will presumably be back real quick. Josh, I think that the thing that we have to do is figure out whether these paints can be used to create a moat that's like a real moat, like actual, like something like 6 feet is good. It's good. It'll help us if we're up on some walls and there's a 6 foot moat, or if there's just I will have to figure out what the current defenses are. But if they can be used to make like a 20 foot moat, or like a 10 foot tall wall around the place, around the entire, or, frankly, I think we should be willing to make it around the entire bottom half. If you look at this map, we could get Miradau, Ribolen, and all of the townspeople except for Saracon and Diamondback's Tower. Like that could all be enclosed in a much smaller circle than the entire thing.
So remind me, what is the wall situation of the city?
I don't remember super well, but I think what Sir Robert said is that we've dug a 6 foot trench around the entire city at this point, and that's
Okay.
what the previous defense was based on.
Because the other thing we can draw is crocodiles, right? I mean, Lord help these guys if we dump enough crocodiles in the.
Yeah, but how are we going to control the crocodiles?
We can deal with that after we've dealt with.
I don't know if we can draw friendly crocodiles.
Yeah,
but also living things. I think it doesn't.
It doesn't do living things.
Hey.
Fair enough. Hello,
Hey,
hello,
Sir Robert. Welcome back. We have some questions.
Yeah, from the hurricane here, we have a little power out flickering. That's all.
Nice.
Okay, so what's
I don't know if you've seen, but in Providence, there are apparently places where the road, like a 6 foot square segment of the road, just fell in, and there was just water underneath.
Wow.
And people just like fell through a hole in the street into like a river.
Yikes!
Did they die?
Yikes!
I don't think anybody died, but I've seen video of people like falling into it.
That's intense.
And I've also seen video of like a 3 foot spout of water coming up out of a storm drain, just like.
Wow.
Why'd they do that?
Storms and rumors of storms.
Well, every infrastructure project in Rhode Island has to go through the mafia first. And so it's not always great. Don't tell Raymond Patriarca this, but his goons mess things up a lot.
Raymond, you're a dear man. We love what you're doing with the city. Please don't come for us.
You can take that to my room.
There have been podcasts that have said much worse things about him than our little thing here. So, but Sir Robert, here's our question. We were talking about fortifications. I had a proposition to make to Inkatink, but first we need to know what the current state of the fortifications is. This black line on our map represents a 6-foot deep trench.
Sorry. What do you mean black line?
The
There's
dotted
an outer
line.
black line that's dotted on the Black
That's the
City
wall.
map.
Yeah,
So
that's
how
the black
tall is
wall.
this wall?
But
About
okay, so
30
there's a contiguous solid black line with black dots. That's the wall. Around it
Yeah.
in dots are gray dots in a circle.
That gray dots in a circle is just a compass. It's
Okay.
showing you in the same color gray different things that you know and their rough distance if you know it.
Sure.
That's all.
Okay.
However, the fuzzy, the sort of blurred line that you see is the 6 foot wide, 6 foot deep trench around the wall everywhere. On the inside, the wall is about 20, 30 feet, 25, 30 feet deep. On the outside, up it, and you've managed to clear 6 foot deep around most of it on the back and everything. On the part where the actual towns were, they've been working on it further. They've gotten it all the way down to the bottom. So it's a 6 foot wide, 25, 30 foot hole. But around the back, it's only about 6 feet deep. We're working as fast as they can.
Okay. So the thing we need to ask is, can we use Tull's paints to complete this work quickly? So I think it would be fantastic to have a 30-foot tall wall around the entirety of the city.
Mhm.
And
So
one
the-
of the things that the paints can do is create a certain square footage of pit.
That's right. He can create, it is 10,000 cubic feet of pit, which is a 10 by 10, 100 feet long.
Okay. So not
I think
enough.
it would be
So we
30
need
feet
a
great walls.
6 by. Okay. What we need is
Not enough.
right.
Better to create walls with it.
Remember that the city is 750, 800 meters across diameter. I mean, it's not quite a perfect circle, but that means that at 2 pi r, it's, a couple thousand meters around.
There's no defend the entire outer wall.
Yeah, that's what I was going to propose. That was my proposition. We can like cut it off just north of the Miradau and Ribbelin settlements.
So that's one way to do it. The other way is to make
Why would they
it
do that? Why don't we make the mud keep taller? That's way smaller, and so it could be way taller.
As a
Yeah.
city.
Right. We were talking about the Mott and Bailey strategy. We defend
Everything's
the outer
stone.
wall as-
yeah, everything's stone. They can't set fire to the rest of the city, so it's not like we have to really attend to the rest of the city. They can't do that much property damage quickly. So yeah, getting that they want to kill us, they want to wipe us out, so they're going to come for us. So giving ourselves the most defensible position possible is
They
tactically.
might go to the fountain and release.
I didn't tell
You
them.
don't have to worry about that.
I
Hold on one second.
You're no longer worried about that.
Hey, Babs, did
no,
you get?
I still am.
Sorry, one sec. A couple of kids came home.
So Mott and Bailey. What is a Mott and what is a Bailey?
Well, if you try to defend the Bailey, you will fail.
Woohoo!
But if you defend the Mott, you will succeed a lot. That's my little mnemonic. So the Mott is like an outer wall that's not super defensible, but it's big. And then the Bailey is like a strong tower in the middle that you retreat to once the Mott gets breached. Wait, once the Bailey gets breached.
I think your mnemonic is backwards.
What?
The Mott is the outer like stick wall. The Bailey is the strong tower.
What? So it should be if you want to attack the Bailey, you'll faily?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's attack.
I feel great shame.
Just based
But
on what you
enemy-
said is what-
The enemy wants to attack the Mott a lot, and when they get to the Bailey, they fail.
We don't need to worry about my mnemonic. It's the least of our worries right now. The Iron Bell is coming. So I'm saying that I think the
just
thing
real
that-
quickly, hold on. You spent 3 hours discussing Mott and Bailey.
Baileys.
No.
Just kidding.
I feel
Okay,
like
go
I'm on Twitter. Belvari is absolutely right. We should have all the we should attempt to defend the outer wall, but not. We should give them as hard of a time as we can going around the outer wall, but we should lose as few people as possible and have a clear signal to retreat to the mud keep, which we will have fortified like with big stone walls from the paints.
And mud is possibly a misnomer, right? Like rammed earth. just
But-
to,
Can we?
Yeah.
So tell us how we with 1,000 feet of 100 feet of 10 by 10 wall.
Mhm.
Wait, 10 by 10 in which dimensions? I'm not a very good spatial thinker. Can we get the
If you
whole
mean-
mud keep behind a tall wall?
I mean, sure, it's a matter of how thick the wall is.
Right. We also have a lot of mold earth.
Yeah, I
True.
think
So-
we want 3 feet. 3 feet of stone.
Okay, give me one.
Why would you want a 3-foot stone wall? I mean, they can step
because-
over that.
3 feet.
Because hold on.
3 foot tall.
Oh, 3 foot thick. That's like,
Because there are siege rules in Dungeons
what is this, a
and
Mott and
Dragons.
Bailey for ants? It needs to be at least 2 times bigger.
So we got 6 days. I can head out. In 3 days. Because they might only be 4 days. I want to see them. I want eyes on them a day away.
So you could go to Saracon
Yeah. in
and
like
back,
3 days.
and that would take you 2 days,
Mhm.
giving you 3 to 4 days, depending on how accurate, 3 to 5 days, depending on how accurate the 6 days is, to kind of roam back and forth at about a day's distance. Or you could, and remember, this is a pie wedge, right? So the closer you get to the headwaters, the less distance you have to cover traversing,
Yeah, back and forth.
right? So
Do we have any idea how
transversing.
many? Oh, you're saying that the headwaters are about 6. That's what we figured out, or about 6 days.
No, based on the movements of patrols and such, you think you have about 6 days before anybody comes.
Gotcha.
You're not sure how far they are,
Gotcha.
but if you went 3 days in, so to Saracon and then 2 more days, for example,
Mhm.
you might be in a small enough area that you could cover it. I'm
Yeah,
not saying you can. I'm just saying you might be in a small enough area that you can cover it and encounter anybody to encounter, and then come back with time to spare. And you might not. You might find somebody before that, or who knows what.
I'm looking up some rules.
Okay.
Jared, you can splice this in
Right.
post, but welcome to the Derek Zoolander Mott and Bailey for peasants who can't defend themselves real good and can't do other things real good either.
So, so Robert,
Hey.
the rules for objects are that objects have an AC, like everything.
That's right. And hit points.
Wood has an AC of 15, stone has an AC of 17, iron and steel 19, mithril 21, adamantine 23. The marvelous pigments, I'm sure, could not create adamantine or mithril. They
Yeah,
probably
that's
could
it.
not create a steel wall either, because steel is valuable. You can't create
can't,
valuable
yeah.
stuff.
That's right.
Can we
They-
make
well,
a
no,
stone
sorry,
wall?
no. They could make steel or anything like that. It would have all of the appearance of it, but not the structure.
It would actually be made of worthless clay or dirt.
Yeah, or just steel that's porous and corroded and can crumble. You know, like nothing, like rust did.
So let's
But
say
stone
more
is-
like-
Stone is an option.
Stone's an option.
Okay.
Not this black stone, but you know, normal stone.
Granite or something.
Sure. More likely stones.
What we want is a wall, a stone wall.
Yeah, but I mean, a stone wall can be made of big stones, not like a single piece of stone.
like our current wall is,
Right.
to all appearances.
The black stone,
Right.
when it touches other black stone, it fuses and becomes seamless. But typically, a stone wall is going to be like river stone or cut stone or something that you pile up. If he were to draw something, it would be something like that. Like if it was a stone wall, he would draw it, and the marvelous pigments would pop up a common stone wall. Not like a bad one, just be a normal stone wall.
Right. And that's what we need.
Sure.
Um,
Let me tell you what you can surround. Is that what you're wanting to know?
yes. Can we surround the question is how can we surround can we surround the mud keep with a wall that would be more like higher than 3 feet? That they wouldn't just
How,
hop over.
how thick do you want it?
1 foot thick? As thick as will go all the way around and be taller
Gotcha.
than a tall person. Like
Gotcha. Okay. Give me
8
a second.
feet
I'll
tall.
calculate. And do you want it to be touching your current mud keep wall, or do you want it to be outside of it by 20 feet? Or, like, what are you looking for?
this is tough because I don't think we want to build in stone on top of dirt. Do we want to? Is it
Possibly just inside. Maybe it would add another ring of.
could we add another ring of stone inside the ring of dirt and then we just fill the space in between with sharp sticks?
Sure. If you look at your map, what I would definitely be happy for you to do, for example, is pick one of those blocks, those kind of city blocks, to
Let's surround the one with the teleportations.
it's a good idea. Note that if everybody goes into that, like you've got hundreds of people, they inside that city block, that area, but you'd be packed.
Yeah.
You know,
We could possibly put all the women and children to
mirrored out
Miradau or something.
through the teleportation circle.
I mean, I'd like to make a bigger area that we could actually defend.
Sure.
We can defend that.
Can you hand me that sheet of paper, or do you have a little sheet of paper or something? I just need a ruler. Or
I believe that Sir Robert was saying that with the material we have, we can surround one of those blocks. Is that
Oh, okay. One of the city blocks.
I was saying, how much do you want to surround? It would be weird to like draw an arbitrary shape that is on top of some buildings and then in the street, and
Yeah.
you would be like living in the street for a few days. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
it doesn't
So
make
what
sense
if we
exactly.
tried surrounding half of, the side to the right of the main thoroughfare? Would
Okay,
that be enough?
gotcha. Yeah. So let me see what you got here. I'm just have to understand what the
A
distances
double
are.
Mott and Bailey strategy.
Mott and
2 retreats.
Okay, so doing that, give me 1 second. I'm calculating a thing.
Russian nesting mots. There's another mot inside the
Just
mot.
keep opening up the walls and finding new walls inside.
That's
And
right.
how tall do you want the wall? Tell me a target height, and I'll tell you how thick it is, or tell me a target thickness, and I'll tell you how tall it is.
Target height 10 feet.
Yeah.
Taller than most of the people attacking us will be able to jump up on their own and grab the top of.
Doing it with Belvari's plan of encircling the right-hand side of the mud keep, so the part with the teleportation circle, but you get all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 city blocks. You'd get a 10-foot tall wall, about 2.5 to 3 feet thick.
Okay.
That's no
A
joke.
little more.
Say it again.
We could possibly do a little bit more.
Yeah. It would be worth noting that the buildings on
Right.
either side are probably, they're more than 10 feet tall.
What if we made it like 15 feet tall and thinner, a little thinner?
You mean how thick would it be?
Yeah.
So 1 foot, but 15,
About 2
20.
feet.
Are we going through this the wrong way? The buildings are 15 or 20 feet tall.
These buildings are 1 to 3 stories tall.
So they'll be able to climb on top of the buildings and let down a rope onto the top of our wall.
I thought the buildings around here were shorter. Is that the shorter 1 to 3 is the short?
These lower buildings. Belvari's not Belvari. Diamondback is in a tower up there. That's 3 or 4 stories tall, 4 or 5. Sarah Khan is tall, but short is, like the building that you're in had 2 floors. The teleportation circle room was like 2 floors, but it didn't have 2 floors. It was one big auditorium.
Here's what I want
And these creatures that lived here and they built this place were taller than you guys. They're about 7 feet tall.
Here's what I want to suggest. Can we do this, Mr. Dungeon Master?
Suggest away. By the way, sorry, real quickly before you say that, just to let you and let the listeners know, I'm just answering your questions. I'm unbiased about your tactics or strategy. So I'm just to let the audience know, especially, I am happy to help you be effective in whatever you choose, whether or not that's effective.
Ooh,
So,
hey,
Here's
go ahead.
Here's what I'm proposing. Why not use the buildings as walls? So there are buildings all the way around the mud keep. Why don't we just paint wall in between all of those buildings and paint wall in all of the windows and doors of those buildings, so that we have a complete, except for, the door that we're going to go in and out through, so that we have a complete contiguous stone wall 15 feet high all the way around the mud keep, without actually having to paint all of that, just painting in the spaces between buildings and windows and things like that.
That's very true. Very true. That's good.
Doing that, you would use a portion of one of Toll's 2 marvelous.
Can I make a suggestion about what we make a lot of with the remaining? Hunting traps. They cost 5 gold pieces, and if they step on them, it's a DC 13 dex save to not get 1d4 piercing damage, and if they get hit, it's a DC 13 to break loose. So if we make a whole bunch of them, then that would mean that as they try to approach, or they would take a bunch of damage, be slowed down, be hindered, and they would be better sitting ducks for us. So
here's what I'm imagining. Furthermore, if we do this where we use the buildings as walls, we can disguise our own entrance into the mudkeep.
Mhm.
We can put the entrance inside of a building, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm,
the entrance to the
mhm.
mudkeep is just one
One
of
of
the
the
buildings on the
yeah,
outside doesn't
yeah,
have a door that's bricked up, and all the others do. And only
yeah.
we know where that door is, and we can pretend to defend all of the buildings
Mhm.
so
Interesting.
that they don't know which one is the real entrance.
Wait, don't
Yeah.
they all have that feature where there's a seamless porthole that you have to like know how to touch it and interact with it to get out? That would mean that every home that we could three amigos it and we could have people firing arrows, retreating, closing the door, running upstairs, using the secret way and closing it behind them, and it'll take them a while to figure out that kind of thing.
I don't think there's a secret opening things for these
You remember
doors,
that
right?
the black doors, the doors to these black
Houses.
domiciles, structures, houses are ovals. They're kind of tall oval shaped with a flat floor and kind of liquid edges that a serpentine creature could like help propel themselves through. But when you're inside and you slide this kind of shell, it grinds closed or open and then seals, like in the normal way that the black stone does, but it'll reopen if you do that from the inside. The windows are all the same.
So we can just close all the windows and all the doors, except for one.
With the note that anybody who knows how to open them can open them.
Right. Yeah. So
We gotta paint them shut with stone though.
we
Not
could
just
do
close
that
them,
on
because
the
anybody
inside.
can open them.
Anybody that knows how to can.
Yeah, and they'll figure it out in 2 minutes like we did.
Didn't we see someone open like a zombie snake opening it or something? Now we figured it out. But we can do that on the inside. So they don't. What I'm thinking is we make it so that this keep area is not obviously a keep area. I mean, we will obviously retreat into it or whatever, but hopefully not too obviously. Like this doesn't have to look like that's where they went over there. That big.
Yeah.
Right. It'll just, to them, it will just look like they're going through the city chasing us, and suddenly they're at a dead end.
Yeah.
And they don't know which way we
The
went.
mud wall, the rammed earth wall.
No, the dead end is a painted wall around the outside of the mud wall.
Gotcha.
The buildings have been knitted together with painted on stone.
Be like river stone type thing, but we'll try to make it look as if it's the same.
Sure.
So instead of seeing, oh, this street is blocked off, it'll just kind of look like, oh, this street is a T intersection.
Okay.
And they're going to go, and then they go around the building to the next street, and it's the same thing. And they have to go all the way around before they realize, oh, these aren't just buildings. This is actually a wall that looks just like buildings. How do we get through this?
Going around, we'll be shooting.
And the whole time they're going around, we'll be up there on top, shooting down at them.
Right. So we also need to make some little gangplanks to be able to get between the buildings that we can yank up and take with us so that they can't use them against us.
Just to say, look at your map. Everything you said, I'm fine with it. I don't have a good or bad. I'm happy for it. But if you look at your map, and you can trust the details of this map. So coming up from the south, from the city gate, just help me understand. The mud wall currently is on top of that row of buildings, and then it crosses the street and is on top of the next row of buildings,
right?
And then crosses that little smaller street.
How high is it?
if I remember correctly, y'all made it like 12 feet off the ground. My question is, so walking up from the city entrance, the city gate, you come to right now you come to that mud wall, and it's a mud wall, but that's not where the gate is. The gate is if you go east 1 block. That's how y'all made that originally. But what do you see right now? Right now, going up from the center, you walk up that main boulevard, you're going to see a 12-foot mud wall, and it connects to the buildings on either side.
Yeah, what if the mud keep is still there? They see that, and it looks like, oh, look, they've made a cute little thing that our giant ram monster will make short work of.
Sure.
But the little block, the 5 blocks that we were talking about before, appear as if it were just one of these things over in the east side that are bigger blocks. Just make those,
Like with the courtyard in the middle.
yeah, all the entrances look like just buildings on it, so it looks like a block, 1 block instead of 5.
Sure, I'm game for that. I mean, those will be cobblestone for that. Well, not cobblestone, but like cut stone, not the black stone. But I'm okay with that.
So
Yeah,
at this
fine.
point,
Make the cut stone look from afar as if it were the same.
I would be happy for y'all to roll for some things I'd have to figure out to find something like tar or black paint or something.
so at this point, they're going to be approaching through a narrow walled channel, right? So that would mean that if there's any gradient to it whatsoever, we could draw a bunch of giant barrels of acid or pitch or something and dump those in and then flood those down the channel so that all of them would take acid or pitch damage or something like that.
I mean, we don't know where they're coming from. They could just come from due east and climb over the walls, and
Sure.
they don't have to come through the gate.
So then anything that we're going to dump or pitch out, we need to consolidate in the middle of our area and pitch it over the walls at them.
Sure.
Let me ask you. All that sounds fine to me. I don't have an opinion. I purposely don't have an opinion. I mean to say. Let me ask you. What's your is that your initial defense strategy? Is to be inside there, or is that something you'd fall back to?
I think this would be a
Fall back to.
Yeah, so I think what we've got, the idea is that we have 2 strategic retreats planned. At first, we have, 150 people patrolling the outer wall, the thick black wall.
Right.
On top of it.
On top of it, yeah. And we fight them where we can, but we tell people don't risk too much. If you see a big concentration of them, if there are 40 of them and you're only 5, don't die. Retreat and tell and spread the word and tell Diamondback to blow his horn. Maybe it should be Belvari. Who gets the horn to blow? We need a horn.
Sorry, hold on 1 second. Before that, do you remember when you first got here, the dragon coiled himself around, making a little kind of hut for you, and that was on a big black circular protrusion into the lake. Remember that?
Yeah.
Those black dots you see on your map are those, and those are, just to tell you this, those are entryways to get into the inside of the city to the top of the wall.
Gotcha.
They're the way you get on the wall, right?
From the inside or from the outside?
From the inside only, of course.
Okay.
Just so my point is to say, somebody standing on the wall doesn't have to just jump 25, 30 feet down.
Gotcha.
And
Right.
die. They would climb down those, and there's a door at the bottom, and you can.
Gotcha.
It's normal defenses. Well, normal for a city like this, not normal for you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I'm picturing is people on the black wall, fighters on the black wall, as many of them as possible armed with uh, what are the components for heat metal, and then
Short
their
bows.
first action of combat would be cast heat metal on
Right.
Weapons, anything,
anything,
any metal. They can see.
any,
Yeah.
Yeah.
then
No,
run
sorry.
to those people run to the key.
No, the
NPCs, just
higher. Sorry, go ahead.
because it's a concentration spell, but you don't have to keep line of sight. They can just
Right.
disappear.
Right. So they
Yep.
can't be killed. Yeah. Okay. But
They
everybody
cast
on
it
top,
and run.
everybody on top is going to have a short bow because every round they can fire, and that's a 1d6 of damage that they can lob out. So that's pretty deadly. Hundreds of people with short bows. That's not nothing.
Components for things.
Yeah.
But the whole army of, maybe there might be 100 people in their army, and they can all go to one point in the wall. We won't be able to concentrate all 150 of us at one point, or else then they would just go around. Anyway, say what
Right.
you were going to
So
say,
let me
Sir Robert.
say-
Sorry.
No problem. Just a couple of things. These are things you would know, common knowledge, and a little bit that's not so common, but that you experienced. But I want to remind you guys of. Normal Iron Bell have clothing or padded armor type of stuff. Somebody at Yats level, who's like the lowest you can be and not be just a standard recruit. Somebody at Yats level might have leather armor. Somebody at Griffith's level would also probably have leather, possibly maybe studded, but a good solid leather armor. Somebody at Spolash's level, who's like up there, would have commonly have iron armor, and remember that you saw one person, Spolash, with a grafted on iron hand.
Right.
It's not that every Iron Bell has that.
Right.
They
Right.
also have weapons like spears or whatever that are the part you would hold.
Right.
And I mean, some of them have swords. There's plenty that have that.
Yeah.
And also, it's much easier to get components than to get weapons. Yeah.
So it was.
Yeah. The heat metal thing would be specifically to target people like Spolash, and the runaway is because you don't want them shooting that person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was imagining part of the reason the Iron Bell has been able to dominate this whole region is because they have a lot of metal, and so they have swords, and everybody else has like quarterstaffs.
So really, what it is, or yes and no, that's true, but they prefer to fight with magic because, again, to replace a sword is just much harder than to replace some components of magic missile.
Right.
And also, but there are plenty of find some random people with swords and stuff too. There's enough of that. But that said, right, your rank and file, pawns in the Iron Bell aren't going to like equipped with amazing equipment. Also, the main way to do the oppression is the forbidding of metal to others.
So, but I mean, also, I guess in Diamondback's mind, also metal is sort of symbolic as well.
Absolutely.
So, it's
That's
like
why they carry the bells, right? They carry a bell on a big pole and dong 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 dong.
right. So like I think I still want, even knowing that not everybody's going to have a metal sword or be wearing metal armor, I would still like for everybody who's going to fight, all 150 of our fighters, to have one cast of heat metal, and also the instructions from Belvari that if you see somebody with a metal sword, with metal armor, with like they're riding a horse and it has a metal bit in its mouth, they're like touching something metal, and especially if they see anybody with a metal limb or a metal leg or a metal hand, cast it, run into the keep, and just hang out for 1 minute and hold concentration and just let it rip. Let's get all the metal out of this battle.
Yep.
It glows red hot, so it's,
And quickly, like it's
Right away,
Immediately.
yeah.
they take damage.
So we're making a lot of traps. So we're making a wall. We're making a bunch of traps. We're making a bunch of short bows. We're making some. I mean, they can just pile up, but we can find rocks to stockpile. Components. Do we want to send people out to search for components?
Is Yoshka here?
No. He's gone, man.
I want Yoshka to be the general. When is he going to come
Sorry.
back?
I want Santa
Diamond-
Claus to bring all presents.
Diamondback doesn't. So Diamondback knows that somebody needs to be the general, and they need to have a horn that they can blow or a way to make sound. They have to be able to blow the first retreat. That signals to all of our fighters, get off the outer wall, get behind the mud wall. And then another one that says another second strategic retreat, get out of the mud keep area, go further in, get behind the house wall, the wall of stone that
So
is
let me
made from
ask you-
interconnected houses.
Let me ask you here. You have effectively Inkatink has produced a version of this map that y'all can look at wherever you are in some building, right? And it's highly accurate. He's taken a few days, flown over everything we talked about that before. So it's a good solid map. It looks basically like what you see here. You all are talking about this plan. Are you talking about this with getting input from the borough leaders, or is this something you guys are just talking about and you're going to present a plan?
I would be fine with input from people on Dariet's level.
Okay. There's basically one of those from each borough.
Gotcha.
But I think it's
Yeah.
good to present existing strategies to them so that we don't just look like we're going, hey guys, what do we do?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
maybe
so-
tell them our 2 retreat strategy and
So you bring them into a room, a kind of council, let's say. You've got this map. You show them some plans and ideas, and they have some input.
gotcha.
Can
What
I-
do they say?
Can I give you some of that input?
We would love to hear their input.
All right. What I've done is made a list of the interests of some of the people, and I'm going to roll about them and see what they bring to you. From this group of about 9 or 10 others, mention that they're concerned about the women and children.
The women and children will be in the teleportation room, or at least the inner thing the whole time. They won't. I mean, unless anyone who wants to fight will be out. But
Okay.
shoot some bows or something, or cast heat metal.
Somebody says, sorry, this is relevant prior knowledge for you. Those inner that have been essentially overgrown for a long time with lake stuff. Much of it's been cleared, and whatever livestock people have, the reason they've picked those that have those is because they have some, pigs or chickens or whatever. One person says, so what? We just abandon all of our livestock and food?
I think we should bring some food in again to the middle area. One thing is, I think, I would bring extremely valuable stuff in, but I don't think the Iron Bell is going to go from block to block, ripping stuff apart. And if they do, I mean, we can go out and fight them. I think they're going to try to concentrate on where people are, not where stuff is. But that's what I would say.
you would have some knowledge of illicit lore that the penalty for rebellion, which y'all are now considered to be in rebellion, is, you know, like AI or Jericho level decimation. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to search everything out and listen for every chicken.
Yeah, I think they
But
would
they are
start
trying.
with the people and then
Yeah.
go out there. So if they're going after your chickens, it's already up with you.
These are so that sounds fine to me. These are the concerns that the people are bringing.
Yeah.
So I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, we have a little courtyard thing in the mud keep we could bring, you know, and it's probably good to have food.
What if they breach it?
If they breach the outer wall or the final wall.
Let's say, what if we feel like the women and children who are in there the whole time, you know, the people who need defense and whatever, the ill and the elderly are in danger.
Yeah. Well, then if we would like, we could send them to Miradau using the teleportation.
Oof, a 1. Okay.
They didn't like that.
No, the issue didn't get addressed. The one
Gotcha.
guy's issue didn't get addressed, or he didn't think to bring it up, or
yeah. So he's just gonna have a nagging
yeah.
problem the whole time. Dang it!
What about the back door, guys?
Somebody says, "What about the trees?" And he means
Uplifted.
the trees out there, the sentient trees, the animated or whatever.
The trees will kill our enemies and kill them and kill them and continue killing them and just do a lot of killing. Don't worry about them. They're very murderous.
The trees are like.
Their bark is much worse than their bark.
And then Belvari puts his hand over Diamondback's mouth and says,
I would say, what would he? Do you have an idea? Like, does he have an idea, or is he just
Are we abandoning
concerned
them?
about? Oh yeah.
We have, like, he basically saying we kind of have a treaty, no pun intended.
Yeah.
We have a relationship.
Yeah, the trees will be helpful. There are larger ones outside.
They can also hide in the forest. I
Right,
guess.
yeah. I think for them, they would fight as long as they're comfortable fighting, and then hide if they, disappear.
all they have to do to
Iron
hide
Bell
is
isn't going to be like. I'm assuming the Iron Bell isn't going to be like hundreds of thousands of people that,
Right.
can go around. These.
yeah, all they have to do to hide is just hold still.
And they can certainly be responsible for helping to deal with places where the wall does get breached if that happens. So we can bring the trees inside of these walls preemptively, and the trees can be interior guards for
There's
the
some
event of a
trees that
breach.
won't.
Yeah.
Sure, but the ones that can.
Basically, everybody has. Sorry, I should say, all of the trees can get into the city, but not all of them can get back out because they can walk up and fall in,
Gotcha.
but they can't leave. And most of the trees don't want to not be able to get out if they wanted to into the forest. Okay, so 3 of the questions or 3 of the concerns didn't get addressed in the meeting. I'm just telling you that that's canon now.
Yeah, those are the people who can go to the Iron Bell and let them in the gate.
So, yeah, what do you want to do? You've got people seem pretty confident in Diamondback's idea that it's 6 days. Some people are like, let's play it safe, and maybe it's only 4 or 5. And there's a few other, about the same number of people are like, it could be 7 or 8. It could be a week. Let's.
I think once or twice a day we should drill. Have everybody practice retreating from the outer wall to the mud keep.
Sounds good.
We want a group of people who will go out and search for items, especially heat metal.
But yeah, any combat magics they can find.
Yeah.
Oh, looks like we lost Sir Robert again.
No, he's a little blurry. And there we go. A little more blur. High five. Whoopsh. I can hear a little bit of Dwight, but he
No, you
sounds like
guys
he's
are
trying to leave the Matrix.
super choppy. We're getting one frame every 5 seconds or so.
That's all.
That's all you. Classic Dwight. Never finishing sentences, always finishing sandwiches. Sir Robert's throwing some crypt signs. It's a real brand deviation from our
10-11.
conflict neutral. 10-11.
We can hear you perfectly.
We can hear you perfectly.
We're all done.
Pearl done.
Sorry, Sir Robert. We're only getting one frame every 5 or 10 seconds, and very small clips of audio, like a tenth of a second of audio at a time. So right now, your internet is not doing great, unfortunately.
Starfall Collective fans, mobilize in force. Send all your nasty grams to Xfinity customer service. Let them know of your ire and dissatisfaction.
10-minute.
10
We
minute
heard the word
break.
10-minute break. We'll go on a 10-minute break. We'll see you at 9:14, fans.
Make it
And
9:15.
This 9:15 and the same time, same channel.
So I chopped down the oak tree in my backyard this week.
Oak trees are big, tough trees.
They are, but this one was blighted and dying. So I bought a chainsaw and I chopped it down.
We're back.
Tuning his banjo.
Yep.
You ever use sawmill tuning? Oh, that's wrong. That's not sawmill tuning. That's out of tune. I'll put my banjo away.
Old saw has the same interaction with your ears that a saw would.
No, that's
Beautiful
just
bow saw.
when you tune one of the strings, all the other strings go out of tune. I didn't retune all the other strings.
Can you hear us now?
Indeed.
Okay. What's up?
You tell me.
I can't hear Sir Robert.
You can't hear.
I
Can
can.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi. 1, 2.
So Joe,
1 through 5.
Can hear us, but Matt can't.
Correct.
I can't hear Josh either.
Ooh.
Maybe your headphones aren't working or they're not
I
plugged in.
can't hear
They're
you.
not on your head.
They're on his head.
Oh, they are on his head. Matt, we can all hear you, but you can't hear us.
Elliot, that's a little too loud, good kid.
Sorry.
It's okay. Yep.
Can you hear me
Or the
now?
foyer would be
I can hear
the way.
you.
We could always
I can hear you.
Great. I could not hear you guys because my Macintosh computer decided that it was going to use my microphone and my speakers to talk to me via voice and accept commands that way.
Nice.
And I don't know why that turned itself on, and I don't know how I turned it off.
You know, you can go to settings and uncheck enable ask Siri under the Siri portion of the.
That's going to be my mission for this evening.
It's a real hard mission. It should take about 22 seconds.
Speaking of 22 seconds.
Roll for 22 seconds.
That's right. Nope.
Dang it.
No. So yeah, tell me whatever else you want to tell me. What else you want to do? I mean, y'all are spending basically a day or half day. The evening that you get back, into the night, y'all are talking about these things with the people.
Okay.
Gotcha.
You expect you'll wake up in the morning, and if Diamondback was precisely accurate, you'll have 6 full days.
Gotcha.
I mean, you know, like, obviously he might not be exactly right or anything.
I would be fine hanging around a little bit longer and encouraging everyone to do a drill in the morning of head out to spots on the wall. Now we'll blow the horn and you go to the mud keep and then tell us what was hard and what was easy and what paths need to be made and what things should
Yeah.
be done, all that stuff.
I like that.
So while most of the people are drilling, I think Inkatink would like to go ahead and take a party and start foraging for components for offensive spells and such.
Okay. You're going to have to go a little far afield because y'all have recently gone through this area.
Mm-hmm.
But not super far. You know, if you took a group of 30 men, a day's travel here, which, by the way, most of them are not generally inclined towards, but there's power in numbers. They kind of trust you guys for some, you're heroic in their eyes. And also, you're coming up here, you found that there were challenging opponents for parties of 4, 5, 7 of you. So 30 of you, they feel more comfortable about that.
Yeah, well, Ingatink, why don't you just go by yourself?
More people, more components.
Unless you don't make it to the spot where you're looking for components, because a rat bites somebody.
I was only telling you the sentiment of the people, by the way. I'm not trying to dissuade or anything. They're more comfortable. 2 guys probably wouldn't go with you. 10 would be skeptical. They would basically feel like refugees. 30 would be like, we'll
We got a
take your
force
word
here.
for it. Make sure we're armed.
Yeah, I was going
How
to say
about-
we can
Can
go
I
ahead and use
suggest this?
Go ahead.
I think that the Sarah Khan folks and my acolytes probably have a little bit more trust for Diamondback and Inkatink than maybe the others do. So maybe we can make if people are generally don't.
Hold on one second. Elliot, time to stop. Good boy. You can keep going if you do it silently, okay? All right, love you, good boy. Sorry, go ahead.
So if people are generally uncomfortable doing this task, which I think is pretty essential to get us a bunch of combat components, I think maybe if we try and get the Saracon group to go with us, just give them this task for the first 4 days. Inkatink and the Saracon group and my acolytes just get out there, get a big store of combat magic components. We're the wizards. We're the undead people. This is our, we understand this. Like Saracon is from more around here, right? They understand the zombie thing a little bit more than everybody else does. They're maybe a little more comfortable in this country. So like
this is a Snake Clan endeavor with Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah, do that.
We're going to supply the whole company, the whole 150 with just as much combat magic as we can.
Okay. And I will roll that up for next time.
Nice.
Cool.
Why don't y'all do that after the first drill, so everybody's involved in the first drill?
Yeah.
Whatever you say, drill sergeant.
Drill captain.
So you want to spend the first doing drills, helping everybody get basically like equipped, know where to stand, up and down the stairs till they feel like comfortable getting in and out.
Drawing bows for them if they need it.
Getting all the food and at least a small number of animals inside so that we've got whatever they need. If they're going to go through a portal and run away, they've got everything to run away with. Go ahead and get that taken care of.
Tell me what you want to equip people with in general.
I would say, go ahead.
A melee weapon and bow.
Short bow.
Spears and bows. Spears for stabbing people who are trying to climb up or down walls.
Yeah.
Bows.
Maybe a spear with a little. I mean, we're drawing. I want a little hook on it so they can push the ladders off. Although I feel like maybe they probably won't need ladders. I don't know.
That sounds fine.
Yeah, can we just draw a crap load of pikes? Can we draw 200 pikes?
Yeah. I'll make sure that it's within the appropriate marvelous pigments
Worth less than
quantity.
25 gold.
Well, it's more. I don't know how many actual things you could draw,
Yeah.
but it describes that.
How many people want to be on the one? Say 150.
150-ish are willing, and that's nobody wants to.
Right. How many have? Like, there's gonna be some amount of. I have a bow and I have a.
These are all
shard of stone that I've used to stab a person before.
These were all refugees who fled as the Iron Bell destroyed their towns.
Yeah.
Let me roll this guy right here. Of the 150, 10% is what that comes out to. 10% of them are reasonably fighter-ish.
Gotcha.
So
You
when,
mean-
and when sorry, go ahead.
So you're talking about like the person is, or they brought weapons and stuff with them?
The person is probably has been in combat and
So
survived,
15 captains
something like
to
that. Yeah.
organize the.
And they would each be captains of 10.
Yeah.
Ellie,
I think
Yeah.
I would like us to spend some time making that official. Like
tell them that they're in charge of those 10 people. Get those. 10
everybody
people.
should know who is who. I think we probably don't have time for a real uniform, but something like, you know, a black
Armband.
armband or something.
Ooh, a black hat. We could do 15 helmets.
you could totally do 15 uniforms with the marvelous pigments.
Yeah.
I don't know if uniforms are worth it unless
Well,
they were
15 sets of
also
armor.
armor.
Yeah, 15 black leather armor. I mean, 25 gold piece worth of armor. That's pretty good.
I think the pikes would be. You know what? These people are not going to be able to use martial weapons. We don't want pikes. Hold on. The DM
They
is
can
going to
do
call
spears.
us on that.
They can do spears. Yeah. Spears and short bows. They're both simple weapons. Short bows can do a D6. Crossbows do a D8, but you have to load them. So
maybe the 15 are able to use martial weapons, and so we give them, halberds. But everybody else gets a spear.
Tell me that.
A spear is only 1 GP, so we can make a bunch of spears with the paint.
So you want spears for the people, short bows for a ranged weapon, and then they'll have components. How many arrows are you going to make for?
Probably not that many. It's gonna, maybe be 3 rounds of combat or something before they retreat. So 5 arrows.
We're talking about a lot of rounds of combat. I would think that we should make as many arrows as we can, but
Yeah, we should set one of the groups to fletching, the way we set one of the groups to
just
gathering
make
components.
arrows.
Or maybe 2 groups should be set to fletching.
On the wall, they should have 3 arrows because I don't want them shooting from the wall. We can put more arrows inside the keep.
yeah, I agree.
Okay. And the captains, what do you want them equipped with?
Halberds
Sword and
are.
horn.
Sorry, say it again.
A sword and a horn.
Wouldn't they need ranged weapons too? I mean, long weapons too, because we're fighting from up top. You don't be able to stab down.
Pikes are heavy reach and 2-handed. Halberds are heavy reach and 2-handed and do slashing damage.
I'm kind of picturing these guys as saying, okay, guys, head to the house. And they're in the back, maybe with the sword, hacking at people who are chasing them.
So give them a shield, give them some AC.
Yeah, like a sword and a shield.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So
And
the
a horn.
yeah.
Okay. Sword, shield.
So like a long sword.
Yeah,
1d8
And-
slashing.
mostly fighting on the road to the keep. If somebody next to him with a spear dies, they can pick that up.
You give them a buckler, say, and a longsword, and then they also have a horn that they could wear around their neck or something.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? I'll roll for the components you find.
Mhm.
And just to give you fair warning, all of these people will be able to do any kind of cantrip, right? Like easily, they can just do the cantrip. These trained fighters will be able to do up to probably, I guess I'll do like level 2 spells.
Mhm.
Remember that casting a spell above your level, and these people are level 0, except for the kind of fighters. Casting a spell above your level has a risk of it not working and you taking damage.
How much damage?
I have it written down somewhere. I don't remember.
Gotcha. So heat metal is
more depending on how far
second
above.
level. So
So that'd be something the 15 captains would have.
And it looks like leather armor and shield are the only magic items that can be made by the pigments.
magic item. Or are we
The only
making
items
magic
that can be made magically by the pigments.
So we can't make
Okay.
bows and stuff.
No, you can make a bow. I'm just saying of leather armor is the only armor that can be made. Shield is the only other shield, and leather armor are the only armor category items that can be made. Yeah.
Yeah.
The longbows and all the other things, that they're fine. They're still under the level.
And let's make a bunch of those. Just get everybody's AC up above Diamondbacks.
I'm going to, and I'll just roll and do these en masse, and I'll write up, this. Also, I'm going to add these as swarm type NPCs. There's rules for that, so that they'll be in groups of 16,
Right.
which is 11, I guess. A leader and 10 underlings, and so you'll have 15 of those.
So I think the division of labor should be we already have the Saracon gathering magical components. I think we should set another group of maybe 2 towns worth to fletching and making arrows, another group to gathering in like food and water and other supplies
Yep.
into the innermost keep, in case we find ourselves in siege conditions, and in case we find ourselves on the march. Then I think also we should put another 2 groups on making traps, like paint up some bear traps and have them set them, and also teach everybody else where they are and get everybody like used to our defensive strategy and be in charge of cleverly like making this into a hellish labyrinth for our enemies and a bastion of strength for us.
You've got, of those doing that, you've got 2 more towns left.
Right.
That's
So
8,
what else do we need? I think?
We need difficult terrain leading up to the walls, at least leading up to the gate, right? To make it a little bit slower for them to approach the main gate.
What were you going to say, Dwight?
One of the towns can help start moving the sick and elderly and infirm and valuable thing to the inner. Although that might be better to have, representatives from each town, sort of. Yeah, they might be like, "Don't take my chest of gold."
1 town's worth,
Yeah.
we'll call it. And then about 1 town's worth to help with making the terrain difficult on the hill.
Yeah, they could probably have the trees help them.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
Right? That's everybody. If that division of labor stays for the next 4 or 5 days, the whole town is a bustling.
Nice. And they're all excited.
13, yeah, they're 10 would have been neutral. They're a little on the optimistic side given
The great plan we have.
the astonishing plan of
Plan.
resisting the bell significantly.
I mean, they've already successfully done it once.
Yeah, but they know that it escalates. But on the other hand, the heroes are back. They did it by themselves in this town,
Yeah.
whatever, with Garrett, but he's like, not quite hero status. But now half of y'all.
Yeah.
Not quite hero status. Garrett is a force to be reckoned with, man.
Garrett's a legend. Diamondback is gonna. Yeah.
Go
So
say hi to your next friend.
every maybe like on the first day and on the second day, he's gonna pick. This is just for flavor mostly, and to help with more morale. Diamondback is going to pick one of the like biggest, toughest leaders, and he's going to cast invisibility on himself, and he's going to sneak up on that person, and he's going to like suddenly appear with his like knife around their throat where all their men can see, and he's going to say, "If you were the Iron Bell, I would have just taken your life. Think about that." Just demonstrating that he's going to like kill a whole bunch of Iron Bell, and like he's gonna
Roll me an intimidation check.
and also that you may not know that Diamondback is right near you, about to kill the Iron Bell that you're facing. Maybe he's right there.
Inkatink whistles, very impressed with Diamondback's performance to render the help action with the intimidation check.
Yeah, I'll take it.
All right. +0 on intimidation. This wizard is not very charismatic. 14.
All right. Some of the people are like, "Oh, that wizard sure is skinny, but he can sneak." Okay. So,
I could be anywhere. During the battle, you won't see me, but I will be killing our foes.
I've got. Let me just tell you what I've got. Inkatink, you're taking Saracon and the Snake Clan acolytes to go hunting components. 2 of the towns are doing the fletching. They have plenty of feathers and stuff from their, some chickens and geese that have lost feathers as they've been there. Food and survival, that's going to be making sure you've got some dried meat, different things that you could all bundled up and packed that hopefully could last you if you have to flee from the city in retreat or whatever. You could be on the road for a couple of days, all 300 something of you. And they're going to try to get you okay. So real quickly, 2 towns are doing traps. You want those traps where? In the city, you got to not hit them.
Yeah, probably mostly in between the gate and the mud along that.
So here's what I was imagining for the traps. The place where we're making a wall out of houses, the Iron Bell are going to be having to go into a lot of houses from the outside to try and find which one could be used as an entrance. And so I'm imagining that everybody will know, we'll tell everybody, this is the right entrance, this building here. All of the other buildings that are part of this wall, don't go in. There's going to be lethal traps in there. And so they can just like put whatever crazy stuff they can think of in any of those other houses to just kill and maim.
Right.
And the one house that is the real actual entrance, which we'll try to disguise and make it look just like the others. But that one, everybody will know what that one is and not to go into any of the others.
Okay.
I'm thinking actually all the doors on that 5-block, all the exterior doors will work fine. And the first room will have trap except for in the one. And so when we're sealing it off, we'll seal off
The
inside.
inner walls and windows.
I'll buy it. That sounds good. You've got one town's worth of people, with the help of the trees, attempting to make the hillsides difficult terrain. Is there any part you don't want to be difficult terrain?
I mean, we can
have
always
an
try
R
to do.
entrance on the south, right?
The main gate, yeah.
The main gate.
Do you want it not to be difficult terrain getting in there, or do you?
What do you guys
Yeah,
think?
I mean, I think it would be smart to have a direction that it would be easiest for the Iron Bell to go, because then
Yeah.
they will possibly go that way as opposed to all the other directions they could go.
Yeah, that's good.
So yeah, so kind of a nice looking road from somewhere at the edge of the woods near Ribbelin,
Uh-huh.
coming around and into the main gate.
Wait, sorry. A road that goes that way around
Right in the
outside
bottom.
the hill,
Yeah.
in the bottom of the hill, and then comes into the main gate.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And then lastly, we've got about a town's worth of people who are setting up essentially barracks for women and children and infirm and elderly and whatever. That's probably mostly the women going to be setting it up in a way that they can cook, because they've got to be able to support 300 people. So they're going to be able to tend to the wounded if there are any, help the children, keep people quiet, all that stuff. So they're going to try to set up this interior portion of the Mud Keep. And that's when I say a town's worth, it's really like a bunch of capable, brave, and responsible women folk. Good.
What's the water like before it was sort of still around on the floor? Just water?
Once you discovered and then unplugged the drains, it more or less solved that problem. It's not coming out too much anymore. And generally speaking, all around where you are, the water has largely drained out. Towards the back, not really exactly around Saracon, but like the sides, it's still pretty marshy. Jumping in there, if the Iron Bell came, for example, and climbed that wall, there's mud only like 10 feet down, so it wouldn't be a huge fall. However, they'd sink deep into it. It'd be really hard. So there's still a lot of water up there that's slowly seeping out of the thing. Where you guys are, it's just normal. Nothing to speak of. No water.
So I'm imagining groups of people. There'll be like, I don't know, 2 or 3 patrolling along the north half, that less
Sure.
less populated, and then the rest kind of less patrol-y, but still patrolling the south half.
That sounds fine to me. I'm happy for whatever you want. Note that the headwaters are almost due east. They're like east southeast. So statistically, the shadow that they cast is going to be the east side, not the. You happen to be on the south side.
Right. So yeah, maybe pulling that around, not all the way, but 45 degrees maybe.
Okay. The intelligence that you have from Garriott and such is that, to his knowledge, notwithstanding scrying or something, nobody saw into the city. They killed them, prior to their being able to be in the city.
Gotcha.
So are the really big trees helping people with the wall fortification, or are the really big trees still outside of the city doing their thing out there?
They're going to be helping make rough terrain,
Okay.
difficult terrain out of the hill.
was going to say, if one of them, I don't know how many people could get up into the boughs of one of the big trees. If that is possible, then one big tree could go with us, and we could just sleep in the big tree at night with all the little hammocks that Inkatink has put.
Let me let you pitch it to a tree. Give me a persuasion check
Okay.
with guidance.
Hey, tree, you want to do a mobile tree fort hangout kind of thing? Oh man, so many good numbers, but I ended up with 9.
Okay. Did you do
Nope,
guidance
not
that?
with guidance. 9 plus 4 is 13.
Yeah, there's a tree willing to go with you.
Okay. If it's
that-
one of the big ones, he's already got all the sleeping equipment left in there that Inkatink had been putting in there for the days leading up to them leaving for the hole. So there's hammocks up there. Cool.
Ready?
We got a place to sleep at night. So we don't even have to come back. We can just stay out for the next 4 days straight, just foraging and foraging and foraging, dawn to dusk.
All right.
Cool.
What else? Anybody?
And you've got that infinite sack.
Not infinite, but yeah, I can hold a lot in it. Yeah, I definitely empty out the magic items that I don't need to have in there and leave those in the central secure stockpile or whatever.
We can call that the stone keep.
Cool.
The mud keep, the stone keep. The
Um,
black wall.
I think what Diamondback will be doing, and I think we're probably not going to be able to like go through this item by item, but he's going to find somebody to carry the circlet of blasting. He's going to find somebody to carry the wand of web, unless one of us has those things.
So that's something y'all should work out. Y'all have some really good magic. Somebody giving one of those to a random guy is going to be
Like
dangerous.
Garriott.
Yeah, giving it to Gary or some other capable. There might be. You know what? Let me roll.
So Garrett's right-hand guy should definitely have the plate armor of etherealness. He's a big, beefy fighter boy.
Not gonna be super helpful.
Let me do it this way. I'm going to do actually. What is this? A D12? These are D10s. That's a D10. All right. Let's see what we've got here. You've got. Hold on, I've got to do the math. That's a little more than I expected. A little more mathy.
A little more mathy. The least
You've
math-like
actually
thing
got
ever.
25 guys who are not. They're certainly not skilled and able to cast advanced magic, or like not like high level anything, but they are. They feel competent with a wand or staff or scroll or something like that. They're not going to accidentally shotgun someone. So 25 people you can give magic items to. They don't have any. They're not wizards by any means or anything like that, but they've encountered such things in their time.
Okay.
There was
Well,
a one that we had and no one ever used.
Of icy whatever.
I see something.
Yep.
Was that left behind by the other group?
Nope, y'all still all have that. I mean, yes, they didn't take that.
Gotcha. that would be something we could give to someone.
Yeah, put that down. But Diamondback would like to go around and find those people. Diamondback is going to keep the potion of clairvoyance and the potion of mind reading for his own use during the battle.
Claim those on that sheet if you just, or put them in your inventory and take them out of there. That's fine with me. However y'all want to do it. But other than that, they should be considered to be something, since Inkating has emptied his bag of holding, they should be considered to be in your main team camp. A chest or something.
So I'm keeping those, but I would like to distribute out potion of fire breathing, potion of greater healing, potion of growth, potion of hill giant strength. I don't know. It's not going to help. Elixir of health. Potion of
heroism-
frost giant strength, potion of gaseous form, potion of heroism.
There's 4 potions of heroism. It might be for us to use those.
Okay, we'll use those.
Power and 10 temporary hit points.
Also, sorry, not related to potions. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Something comes up, Diamondback. Garriott comes to you. This is really just for Diamondback, but I'm okay if other people hear it. You players might hear it, but the characters didn't unless Diamondback shares. Garriott comes to you, Diamondback, and says, do you remember a long time ago, it seems like, you brought me a horse tooth?
Indeed. Have you found any other of the components for that particular spell?
No. It's like I told you then, a find that's once in a decade, maybe. But you may recall that I have some resources. They're too precious, too valuable to use for something like this. They're intended from my predecessor to me and maybe further back to strike out at the bell toll grimly. When the time comes, I could provide us with some additional aid.
I unfold my strategy to Garriott to ask for his input. I don't know if I've even told the others this yet. But I tell Garriott that this attack is for the purpose of drawing out a bigger army of the Iron Bell, hopefully big enough to leave the headwaters undefended. And then when that army comes out to attack us, we will leave this place, sneak around them, up the headwaters, find their capital, and raze it to the ground. And that I have several, up to 3 maybe, godlike supernatural beings, such as the dragon, that I believe might help us with that.
I just rolled for Garriott for his response, and I rolled a 20 and an 18 as the clarifier of the 20. He's favorably inclined to what you're by a lot.
So I say, like, if you've got something special, this is it. We're getting rid of the Iron Bell now. In the next month. After that, there's going to be no Iron Bell. So if you're saving something to get rid of the Iron Bell with, now's the time.
He basically says he is willing. Basically, he's just telling you he's totally willing, but not for this defense. It have to be for the next thing, for the
right.
offense.
this defense is part of a feint. It's a genuine defense. We do want to kill all the Iron Bell that come here, but the reason we're killing them is to draw out a bigger army, which we won't
So
fight.
he tells you, well, so the thing to know, I've got to go back to Miradau. There's, you recall, an entrance, a magical entrance to my study, and I sealed it before we left, sealed it tight, can't be gotten into. And I sent myself a message. The key, I sent it through another to find me when it would. And it found me not a day ago. So now in order to secure everything, he locked it with an actual physical, and then he threw it away from himself where he wouldn't know, and magically gave it made it home back in on him, which could be a day, could have been 10 years. He had no idea. But it has come back to him and has the key that he could use to go back to Miradau for it at some point.
Diamondback says, I know one. I know of one. No, I know one who has power over such mysterious comings and goings. Tell me, have you met Morris? I sense his hand in such coincidences.
Brow and says, oh, name's not familiar.
Inkatink says he's a jerk.
Then the name Oben.
He also isn't aware of that name.
I think you will meet one or the other before long.
He shrugs and is like, sounds good. If they helped, I'm up for it. The key came back. It appeared to me just yesterday.
So Diamondback is going to, I guess we're about out of time, but Diamondback is going to spend some time while this other stuff is going on. Inkatink's going to be out working on stuff. Belvari is going to be organizing people. Tull is going to be painting walls in places and painting traps and painting spears and things.
Belvari is going to organize people, and then he's going to make a foray to try to do.
He's going to be scouting. So Diamondback, I guess, will divide his time between strategy and organization of the ongoing effort. When people have questions about what the thing to do is, they probably show up at the Wizard's Tower, and I try to help them. But the rest, I won't always be available. Sometimes I will be on the top floor communing with my patron and trying to get my patron's approval for the strategy that I outlined to Garriott.
Okay.
Will my patron help with this? And also, will my patron help me get in contact with the dragon, who I think might help with this plan?
Let's do that encounter. Let's do that explicitly as a separate scene.
Sounds good.
Next week or sometime.
And there is just one spell for which Inkatink is interested in keeping an eye out for, just one more component, and that is for polymorph. I have 4 of the 5 requisite components to cast it between my stores and the party stores. I'll be darned if another season goes by without a dinosaur in it.
There's been a dinosaur in this season.
Yeah, but it was from the lost episode, and then I intentionally removed all components because I don't want dinosaurs in this season.
That's okay. There are other things besides dinosaurs.
Yeah.
They're big things.
I don't mind when it's just a little too menagerie for me.
That's okay. There are other big things.
Okay, sounds good. One last thing is Belvari.
Mhm.
How many people are you taking?
Probably just two of the
Oh, and Teco?
Lamro and Teco, yeah.
Teco is disinclined to leave his daughter. So, and they used to go out hunting all the time, Edina. If you're willing for her to come as well, she's 14.
Yeah.
Comfortable with her dad.
Picturing those people will, worst case scenario, just run, perpendicular
Sure.
back here
Yeah.
and survive in the,
Mhm.
and then maybe loop around.
Okay. So you're going to take Lambrel, Teco, and Edina with you. Let's see. I'm just taking a note.
Are there any preparations we can do that just sort of passively increase our sneakiness, or is it not really a thing?
No, not really. But there are things you could do on the way, such as various kinds of alarms you can set, like wardings and stuff, that if anybody were to cross it, you'd go, what happened?
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not sure I know how to do it.
Yeah. Let me look it up, and I'll just assume that you at least know how, and then we can talk about what you
Gotcha.
do. I don't know the mechanics. Exactly.
Yeah, I think there's something about a rope. You need to take a rope and
Make a circle.
put a circle.
Something.
Yeah.
Little silver bell or something. Okay, well, that sounds good. Thank you all for playing and for listening. And that's where we'll end this episode. If you'd like to find out more about Starfall Collective or the stories we're telling, you can go to the starfallcollective.com. Have a good night.